Once again, I appreciate you being here with me today on the Transplant Helper Getting Started series. I know this journey is going to be quite a challenge for you. I know things can be difficult and it can be overwhelming to get a lot of the information we're going to be delivering in this video series, but I'll assure you it's certainly a doable thing. I've been there, I'm currently doing that, and I'm helping, I hope, thousands of patients do the same thing. And I know us working together as a community, we can definitely support you in what we do. Now, if you're watching these videos in order, you probably just watched maybe just a minute ago or a few days ago, whatever. You probably just sat down and watched my video that had to do with transplant being a treatment and not a cure. And I hope you understood that video. If you didn't, maybe go back and watch it again, or maybe, reach out to me. If you have some more questions, I'd love to talk to you one-on-one. My personal cell phone number is always going to be in the description of these videos. You're more than welcome to give me a text or, a call, or reach out to me on Facebook Messenger, Twitter, all that stuff. Again, beneath the video, you'll find that sort of information. But today I wanted to move on just a little bit and talk to you just a smidgen about getting actually listed for transplant. You see, oftentimes we get the misconception, especially when we're new to the game, that if a doctor walks in the room and suggests that, transplant is our only option, then that pretty much means we're listed. As a matter of fact, I've bumped into people in the past where they're dealing with that exact situation. They're going home telling their family, calling up their friends, posting on social media, whatever. I'm going to have a transplant. They said I'm having a transplant, all this sort of stuff. And then when you get down and kind of ask a few questions, you discover they're not even listed for transplant yet. And in some cases, transplant may not be their best or only option. And that's kind of something I mentioned back in one of these earlier videos in the series, that even though the word transplant is used and associated with your name, that doesn't necessarily mean that that is your only option. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen tomorrow or you're going to die, okay? So we have to understand that. But getting officially listed for transplant is a lot longer, more complicated process than sometimes we understand, at least in the beginning. And I say that because there's a lot of red tape, a lot of hoops to jump through in order to be formally listed. Mainly, what it comes down to is being evaluated for transplant. Now, the word evaluation, or the transplant evaluation, just embodies a whole series, a huge battery of tests that you're going to have to go through that basically measure things about your body from head to toe. And I've got an entire series. I think maybe there's 5 or 6 videos in that. I would encourage you, when you got more time, go and watch that series. I'll link it up here in the corners in the description below this video, as well as in those little, videos that pop up at the end. I'll put it there as well. I would encourage you to watch those videos because that goes in depth, test per test. What each test is, what it's for, why they need it. It goes through the whole perspective of it, from the emotional side, everything concerning the evaluation. But in short, the transplant evaluation, again, is a battery of tests you're going to have to go through. And until you go through those specific tests, you are in no wise listed for transplant, okay? So even though we may get that impression, maybe a doctor comes in and says it, we're going to put you on the transplant list, they can't actually do that until they have all that evidence, this huge battery of evidence to put you on that list. And even then, it doesn't come down to just the test. Then it comes down to basically your team sitting down as a group, making the decision, is it the time to be transplanted? Is it the right moment, the right time? And then in turn, going about and trying to get you listed on the national databases, something like UNOS or United Network for Organ Sharing. They have to be the ones with a final approval and stamp upon your case to determine, okay, it's time to transplant this person. If you're a candidate for transplant, or there are other options, that sort of thing, they make that determination. And then there'll be a decision day, again, after the battery test, after all these meetings, where now they're going to set you down at some point and tell you, okay, you're being listed as of today as a status whatever. And depending on what organ you're looking for, heart, lung, liver, kidney, pancreas, whatever, they'll have some different numbering systems of those statuses. For example, right now, the heart transplant system numbers itself 1 through 7. 1 being the very top of the list, urgent, this is do or die, and down at 7 actually being listed but being on an inactive status, to where, you're not actually going to get a call right now. You're not going to get that official call to get the transplant. In there in the middle, there are, of course, a lot of categories. And I've got an entire video series about that. Again, that'll be some of these watch to learn more videos, but talking about the status listing system and how it works. But nonetheless, you're going to have to be evaluated first. Then it's going to have to be approved by the United Network for Organ Sharing or some or the other national organization to list you, and then you'll be told that. And then, even behind the scenes, you're only being listed for a week or so at a time, and then you're having to be relisted or updated in the system. So it's just a little bit more to it. Now, that doesn't mean you won't be listed. It doesn't mean it's impossible to be listed, but it just means that just because a doctor uses the word doesn't necessarily mean you're officially on the list, and the phone could ring at any moment. That's not the way it works. But hopefully, if transplant is what you need, hopefully you'll be listed successfully. Hopefully your wait time will be short and you'll get the perfect organ. At least that's what I'm pulling for. I'm praying for that for you. And hopefully the whole process will go smoothly so you can get back to life. Again, I appreciate you joining me today. I appreciate you watching this Getting Started video series. I'll remind you, I'm going to be putting videos up here on the screen. Some of them kind of to expand our knowledge on this subject or some related ones. Others will be just pointing you to the very next video. So go ahead and check it out, and we'll see you next time. Stay stronger, friends.